while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire.
Now we're all set here. Okay, hope everybody's having a good one. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator with Cookie Pirate. Today, we're gonna pick back up in Alaska, where I left off yesterday at the Fort Yukon Airport. Set as departure. And we are going to two different airports today. Our first stop is going to be right here at Chandalar Lake, in the middle of the Brooks Range. And from there, we're going to continue on up to about here to a little town called Anaktuvuk Pass. Today we're going above the Arctic Circle, and we're going from some very pleasant warm weather to temperatures below freezing. Okay. We're loaded in.
With crimson secrets and forbidden bliss, can't stay still, don't stop that thrill. My bones crave your skin, temptation within, mistakes ignite the silence. Nightmares creep while you and me repeat.
30-degree wind at 6 knots, right down the runway pretty much.
Is suffocating.
Here we are on the ground in the small town of Fort Yukon, Alaska, sitting on the Arctic Circle, warmest and coldest part of the state, on the mighty Yukon River. And we're going beyond that, above the Arctic Circle, into, well, almost the North Slope tundra. Let's go through checklist real quick here. Parking brakes set, fuel valve normal. Let's check total time on here. 10.8. Come on. Let me try replugging these in. Okay, there we go, now it's up. Alright, power levers idle. Alternate air off. Electric master off, avionics off, essential bus off, engine master off and covered, fuel pumps off, motor is auto, all of the lights are off, emergency switches off, ELT is armed, circuit breakers are in, flap selector is up, pitot heat off, fuel transfer off, fuel passengers and cargo are all on board. Cockpit preparation checklist here. We will go ahead and turn the electric master on. Ah. That's a little weird. It's not a noise. Kind of me kind of scowling at the music. AHRS is aligning. Cockpit lights, instrument lights, floodlights, all not needed. Flight controls will check after the AHRS aligns. G1000 is on, the MFD engine set, fuel quantity is good. Oh, and you know what actually we'll go ahead and do? Let's add just a little bit of fuel. Go 75%. just because we will not be able to pick any up in Chandalar Lake, and I don't think Anaktuvuk Pass has any either. I could look and check that. Alright, the AHARS is aligned. Let's check flight controls. Rudder is good. Ailerons are good. Elevator is good. Fuel quantity checks out, 10.5 gallons per tank. Fuel temperature, we don't look at oil temperatures in the yellow. Pressure is 0 because we haven't started the engine yet. That'll change. Total time in service, we noted at 10.8. Power lever is idle. Let's turn the strobe lights on. Engine start, prop area. Other than the guy on the tug there. Lights. I'll move. Engine area is clear. Engine master turn on. Wait for the glow indicator to clear. It's off. Clear. Engine is started. Oil pressure is up into the green. Temperature is rising, kind of on the edge of yellow and green. That'll continue to come up. RPM is stable at 844, about 843. Yeah, that's about where we want it. Check the voltage here real quick, the amperage. It's good with the pitot heat. Turn that off. Avionics master on. Flight plan set up. The first leg of our flight, we're going to go at 8,500 today. I think. And I'll tell you why I think. We are not flying in Hawaii. Just happen to be looking at charts there. Let's go up to the Alaska charts. Here we are. So you want to check our altitude. The Fairbanks to Fort Yukon is here. It's flat. It's flat. Gets a little mountainous here. We have nothing below 7,500, or nothing above that, so we're okay. When we go to Anaktuvuk, 8,500. Oh, we actually may need to go a little bit higher than that. No, actually no, we'll be okay. Going that way. Ah, yes, this song playing again. There we go. Yeah, so actually, because we only need 500 foot of clearance above uninhabited terrain and stuff, yeah, since we're VFR, it should be. So 8,500 will be sufficient. $8,500. There we go. Set on the FLC. $88 on the FLC. GPS is what we'll be taking. Click before taxi, position lights, let's go ahead and turn those on. Those two are good to go. Flaps full travel. Check them at half. Good. Check them at full. They're good. Bring them up. Good. Now we'll set them to half. Altimeter is set. Airport elevation checks out. Artificial horizon is good. It is 22 Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit on the ground here. Little colder in Chandalar Lake, but it is below freezing in Anaktuvuk Pass. All looks good there. Engine temperatures look good. I'm gonna just go ahead and turn the landing light on because we have such a short taxi out. Release the park and brake, and here we go. Let's go ahead and do a quick turn out. Brakes work. Goodbye, Fort Yukon. We'll go ahead and stop here, set the park and brake before takeoff real quick. Let's check our trim. Set to take off. Flaps are set to take off. Flight controls, again, real quick. Rudder is good. Ailerons, elevator, all good. Power levers idle. Engine instruments all look good. Heat heat won't be required right now. We probably will later. We'll turn it on when we need to. Fuel pump will turn on. Landing light is on. Taxi light we didn't turn on, so we're good there. Transponder, standby. Good thing we double checked that. We need to put that out. Runway identified. Runway 4 is the right-hand turn. That's what we're going to be taking off. And release the park and brake. Let's go ahead and get airborne. Welcome back along some backcountry Alaska flying, folks. I've been thoroughly enjoying this kind of airport hopping in Alaska. I think the next ones will probably change it back up to some of the tropical islands I always like, but definitely planning on doing more Alaska stuff. Alright, let's get out here. There's no center line, but we can tell we're kind of centered with the lights here. Alright, we'll rotate at 69, we'll lift off in the low 70s, we'll pitch for 80 on the climb out until we get to 800 feet above the ground. That'll be 1250. And then we'll engage the autopilot. Engine instruments are good. Airspeed has come alive. There, 69. Rotate. We're off at 73. Alright, we have a positive rate of climb, so we'll bring the flaps up. And we'll just pitch for 80 knots. And we'll just fly at 80. Climb up 200 feet. Look at the river. Look at the town. Lower the nose. We climbed out a little bit steep there for a moment. Let's get our speed back up. We actually stopped climbing there for just a short moment. There's the auto. FLC is on. Nav mode is on. We can lower the nose. And heading. We'll set a heading because it doesn't want to turn to intercept the course. So we're actually going to turn back this way. And I've just confirmed by looking at this. Yeah, so the terrain turns yellow when you're less than 1,000 feet below it. And it turns red when you are sorry, I should say it turns yellow when you're less than 1,000 feet above it, and then it turns red when you're below it. So when the terrain is higher than you. turn back this way over the airport. We're gonna get a really pretty view of the town here. Right, yeah, there we go. Right off our left side. Take a look at that. And now we're intercepting the GPS track. That is pretty. And they say Fort Yukon is one of the best places to go see the Northern Lights, because of where it sits, like right on the Arctic Circle. And there's a nice view of the Yukon River. That's super pretty. Gorgeous view all the way back. Alright, well, we are set on our track. We're climbing to 8,500. Let's go ahead and do a climb checklist real quick. We probably should do that a little earlier. We're okay. Flaps are confirmed up. Fuel pumps can come off. Climb power will pull back to 95%. And our autopilot is engaged. We're good to go. We can go ahead and turn our landing light off. Showing 51 minutes. It's probably not going to be that long. Because once we level off and cruise, we'll pick up a lot of speed. We have the wind in our favor over here. We have a 15 knot tailwind, which is helping us out, which is quite nice. Now, that isn't to say that that won't change. We'll look at the map real quick, and this is flat. The mountains start over here. And when we get into them, we may see a shift kind of coming up through some of the mountain passes. These may turn to crosswinds. They probably will. Here's an Anaktuvuk pass. That's where we're going next. And it's going to be right up over the mountains, so I don't know what the wind is going to do there. A couple other places worth noting. Prospect Creek, Coldfoot is down here. Bettles, Anaktuvuk Pass, Galbraith Lake, which is on the north slope in the tundra. Arctic Village is right here. And Fairbanks is down here. Where we went yesterday was out around here, then up around here, and then up to Fort Yukon. In fact, you know, while we're just kind of climbing and whatnot, I'll actually pull the chart over on screen share, and I'll show you everywhere we have gone in Alaska so far. Started at Merrillfield. Healy River. There, no, not Sheena Marina. Come on. Fairbanks. Sheena Hot Springs. Central. Fort Yukon. And now we are on the way to Chandalar Lake. And then we will head to Anaktuvuk Pass. And if I zoom out, we see the state of Alaska. That's a pretty far away. 557 nautical miles, almost 5 hours of flight time. Well, actually, if I put our true speed, about 150. Yeah, about 5 hours of flight time. Still. Yeah. So, yeah. And then after that, what we'll probably do, we have a couple different options. I don't really feel like flying around the tundra because it's flat, it's barren. What we could do then, and there's nothing out here. This is the most empty part of the state, pretty much. It's all through up in here. What we could do is come down to Bettles, Tanana, Ruby, Galena, McGrath, Puntilla Lake, back to Talkeetna, or just like straight back to Anchorage. Down the Kenai Peninsula, Kenai, Homer's here, over to Seward. We could go down to Kodiak Island, which is absolutely gorgeous. Or we could go back out this way to Cordova, Valdez, Yakutat, Skagway, Haines, Juneau, Sitka, Ketchikan, all of that through the interior, which gets, the southeast passages, which are really pretty. Ton of options. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off, and we'll get back into the plane. We have leveled off at 8,500, our cruising altitude. We're picking up speed. We can pull back to about 75% on the power, and our flight time has dropped to about a half hour. It's gonna come back up just slightly. Pull back a tiny bit on the power there. 141, 155 on the ground. There's that good tailwind, direct tailwind of about 15 knots, which is really helping us out right here. And that actually is keeping us about a flight time of 31 minutes. Real quick, the only things that we need to do on the cruise checklist are check the engine, which is good, and do a fuel transfer if we need to, which we do not. The Yukon River winds all over the place for a while. A little bit of terrain rendering, so it looks a little bit patchy out there. But there's Fort Yukon. We get a better view from outside, just where I can point out things. This is the town of Veneti, if you say it that way. If you're to look, where's Fort Yukon? Back here. If you were to look out this way up the river, there's a little town called Chalkiitsik that sits out here, which has like 70 people. It's entirely a native community. And Chandalar Lake is not too far into these mountains, so we don't have terribly long to go. In fact, this town that we're coming up on, called Veneti, is on what is called the Chandalar Lake, yeah. Chandalar River, which actually partially runs from the lake down into the Yukon, really not far from where Fort Yukon is. It's just a short distance up the way. In fact, you can see it now. Yeah, like right here. Or like there, maybe below the wing, is where this right here, the Chandalar River, ties into the Yukon. I don't know what that over there, that might be Birch Creek, I think. Yeah, 29 minutes en route. This is gonna be pretty easy. looks like we may be getting a rain shower here at my house. It is -3 up here at 8,500 feet. Despite it actually being fairly warm on the ground at Fort Yukon. And I'm just looking at the weather where we're going. It's about 16 Celsius on the ground at Chandalar Lake, and most of the mountains it's, you know, 7 to 10 until you get into Anaktuvuk Pass, and the temperature is currently 0 on the ground. Even Arctic Village is warm. Western Alaska, especially northwestern, has just been in like a almost perpetual cold from what I've been seeing. Like, it seems like it really hasn't warmed up there, where throughout most of the interior it has. It says it's minus 20 on the summit of Denali. Really not much to see over here so far. It's been flat, but there's Veneti. If we turn and look back this way, yeah, you can see it like right down here is where the Chandalar River meets the Yukon River. Fort Yukon's right back here. And Chalkitsik is out like over here. Oh yeah, we're coming up on the town. Actually not far off it. You'll be able to get a decent view of the town out the right window. We can fly from the right seat for a minute. And good, the imagery is coming up. Looks a little different, you're flying from this seat, but yeah. And yeah, you can see the mountains starting to form. Now, the Brooks Range... I'll pull the map up so we can see this. This is the Brooks Range. It starts way in the west. And it comes down low throughout much of this area. And then it climbs, well, I shouldn't say climbs. I mean, it does. But the range starts following a kind of northeastern path. And up here with the border, this is the border with Canada right here, pretty much. And even a little bit further over. So like here. So there's very little room between the Brooks Range and the coast over here. But down through here, it's a whole ton of open tundra. So if you look, Anaktuvuk Pass is pretty much at the northern end of the Brooks Range, whereas Arctic Village right over here is kind of at like the southern, even though they basically are at the same latitude. So we're just starting to come up on the southern portion of it out of the Yukon Flats. The Yukon Flats being right here. So that's why we're just barely starting to see mountains up ahead. There we go. That's a nice little view of the town. Right here. It's a small town. Anyway, yeah, the range is just starting kind of right up here. And that's why you look up that way, and the mountains, they seem to start way far up over there. Whereas you look out this way, and they look like they go so much further south. Alright, back into the left seat. Captain's seat. Yeah, so we're just under halfway. 21 minutes to go. We pull up the nearest 41 miles from Fort Yukon, 53 from Chandalar Lake. So we're just under halfway. Fine.
I can't find my way back to you till you make amends with the demons you've been through. I can't regret leaving you alone till you find your way back home.
Starting to come up on the start of the Brooks Range over here. We are crossing over, just very briefly, the Chandalar River. I like this corner of it right here. If I zoom out on the map. Yeah, we still have a little ways. But basically where this river turns up, it's gonna be up one of these kind of stretches in the mountains.
People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds jumping and I hear my name.
I think I actually might.
Grasping into life. Life is happy, but it's so sad. We must
I think it's actually like right back through this one here. Although I'm not certain. A little bit of a bump. Some light turbulence. We're gonna get a couple little bumps here and there. That's the nature of flying over kind of these mountain ridges. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the lake sits right behind this pass. Like if you look to where this river goes and it kind of winds up behind here, and I think the lake sits right in front of here. About 15 minutes, little less to go. This is the longer of the two flights, by a short margin. One going to Anaktuvuk Pass will be maybe 5 minutes quicker. They're pretty close. Excuse me. So, before we close in and get ready to start descent here, what is Chandalar Lake known for? Well, I don't think it's super well known by people who are not from Alaska. But it's been one place that I'd like to visit. They actually have a lodge there. And you can fly in there, and I think you can actually hunt and fish, or you can just enjoy the scenery. You get bears, moose, caribou, a bunch of different wildlife. Chandalar Lake area weather. Well, this is coming from Arctic Village, which is a fair ways to the east. So that's not 100% right. And they actually land seaplanes on the lake as well. That's cool. They have 5 cabins. They have a main lodge. Wow. And it's gorgeous. You get the midnight sun for a few weeks. And this is about the latitude, I should say, where you will not get sun. And I'm looking at pictures, and it is absolutely beautiful. We have about another 2 to 3 minutes before we have to start a descent. Yeah, wow. Some of these pictures are absolutely gorgeous. People actually come up here in the winter. I would recommend you look some pictures up. Some pretty cool stuff. What is the weather like? Oh, it gets pretty cold in the winter. And it can get kind of warm in the summer. Altimeter check. Hasn't changed, actually. Yesterday it was changing quite a bit. So let's see what we can see. There's a couple little lakes. Stream. River coming up through here, and I believe it is... I believe the lake sits. Well, I'm looking. Because this is the river. I believe it's over this next pass, so it sits in this valley. Kind of right behind here. If I'm not mistaken. In fact, there's a way that we can check this. Let's go to the G1000. Relative, we'll turn it to topographic. So we're coming over, yep, I see exactly where we're at now. So we are just passing over Flat Creek. And then there's the middle fork of the river. This is it right here. And if we zoom out 1 notch, there's the lake. Let's turn the terrain back to relative. That'll give us the colors based on our altitude. Eight minutes out, we can go ahead and begin a descent, FLC on, and it's actually going to go ahead and kick off. So let's put the power back up for a moment. Let's bring the altitude down just to 2,500, and we can just fine-tune it. FLC on, and we'll pull back on the power. And I'm looking actually at safe altitudes, and we really don't want to go below 5,000. Which means we're actually going to have to fly over the airport and around and circle to drop some altitude, and we'll probably bleed off a little bit of speed as well. what I'm looking at. We have a 1,000 foot per minute descent. We will go ahead and set and maintain our 500. So we'll actually put this back to 5,500 for right now. Now we can add a little bit of power. Let's keep like that at the moment. Elevation's 1920, so we won't descend below 3,000 until we are set to begin our approach, which actually means we have very little room to work with. So here's what we are actually going to do. We are going to turn the terrain back to topographic. We're going to turn the heading. We have no approaches in here. So we want to set up so we can fly down this valley. That'll give us enough altitude to come down. We'll do heading select. And there the altimeter changes for the first time. Now we can fly the long way around here, but I don't think we need to do that. We'll be able to drop altitude fast enough just by pulling the power completely. Rapidly rising terrain. Use caution during periods of low ceiling and visibility. Yeah, no kidding. Probably wouldn't even want to fly if you don't have decent weather like this. Although in the winter time, when this is like typical for the area, you may not have much of an option. There are really no navigational aids up here other than just a few thinly spaced VORs. I mean, there are some NDBs and stuff like that, but that gets out of date, really tricky. Stuff like that. So we just passed over the middle fork of the river. And let me just make sure our altitude is going to be okay. Let's turn relative back on. And yes, for now we're fine. Take a little more power out, continue our descent down. Now if we were to have an engine failure, because we're over the mountains, what we would do is establish a glide rate and just find the flattest area of land that we can. There's the lake. portion of it. Kind of, this is the north edge of the lake right here. Anyway, we try to get to the flattest area we can, perhaps kind of in a river valley, and we just do an emergency landing there. I'll actually go ahead and we've leveled off. Put some power in. We'll establish our cruise speed back. Just until we can kind of descend a bit lower. So what I actually would have done is plotted that turn a little earlier and just waited to descend. Because the way that we're going to have to do this... Yeah, even if we go through the low-lying areas like right here, we wouldn't be able to descend in time. Let me plot out. I wish they had an altitude, a relative option. I wonder if there is. Maybe there is. I don't know how to do it. PFD options. No, it's... No, I guess we can't do it within here. What I wish was that the mountaintops would change colors just like the flat map. And look what's up ahead. Lower terrain. Now we can go ahead and continue our descent, but we don't want to go below 3,000 feet. Let's say right now we'll just go down another 1,000. And FLC, and we'll pull the power. And what we need to pass in front of is right off our nose, right here. Once we clear over this, we can turn. Let's just use the heading knob. Kind of pitch over that. No, the mountains get steeper over this way. Wow, okay. That's actually really pretty. And we can go ahead and continue. This way in the turn. And we can continue another 1,000 feet down. And we just follow the river. And yeah, we need to start slowing down. And we need to turn heading quickly. Let's keep coming down. There's the south shore of the lake. The airport sits on the east, or south shore, I should say south. Well, it is the south shore, actually, but the south point of the lake. And look through here, yeah. That's what we're talking about. That's pretty. add a little power back in. We're getting rocked by the wind a bit, but it'll probably smooth out just a little bit when we get ready to turn toward the airport and get kind of below the mountains. Alright, here's the other thing we need to do, add power, but look at the wind is coming from the east and it's pushing us kind of close to this terrain. So, because we are on a heading, we actually have to set a heading to correct for the wind. If we're on our navigation track, that does it automatically for us. But when we are on a heading select or hand flying the airplane, it does not. There's the airport in sight, I have it. So what we're going to do is continue our descent down to 3,000. We don't want to go lower than that. And we're going to fly right alongside the eastern edge of these mountains, knowing that the winds will push us away from them, and that we'll have a short turn to make toward the runway on the end. So we're kind of more or less straight in, although we will have a... Now we have a headwind. We have a tailwinds the whole way in cruise, but now coming into land, we're fighting. We're fighting a bit of a... Actually, well, it's starting to taper down just a little bit, but it's gusty. Let's do some descent checklist stuff, as I forgot to do when we started our descent, because we had a lot of course planning. This is when what they call single pilot or crew, if you're flying with somebody else, resource management comes in handy. So somebody can make sure checklists are getting done, somebody can make sure navigation is taken care of, and it gets to be a lot when you're flying into a place like this where it's not just, you know, kind of, you know, your middle of the road sort of regular line that you're doing. Alright, so real quick we'll run through landing data. We have it. Altimeter, yep, checks out. Comm, nav, FMS are not required. We won't do the fuel transfer until we're in the air again to go to an Anaktuvuk pass. Parking brake is released. Fuel pump is on. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the engine master. Fuel pump is on now. Landing light back on. And let's just check our clearance real quick on that. The wind is tapering down, and we're actually just about set up on final. We are cutting it a little bit close right here. And no, it's zoomed in on the map. We're actually quite fine. It looks a little closer. There's the airport. Disengage the autopilot. And we're a little bit high, but we are slow enough that we can go full flaps. So I'm just going to do a step to half. Confirm they're down. We are good. Descend full flaps. We need to trim. We're a bit high. I'd rather be high over here because there's no flat lands. There's just, well, it's all forested. There is water though. But I don't really feel like swimming. The air might be pleasant, but the water's probably freezing cold. I don't want to take a bath in the lake today. That's dumb. And we are 700 feet, so we're actually on a decent glide path right now. We need to add a little bit of power. And now we do have a hefty crosswind coming in over here right now. And this is really your only option on how to land. Because the terrain rises so much. Look at how much wind correction we have just to try to get back on course. Here we're coming up. We have about 350 feet to the ground. Alright, we're 200 feet. Stable approach, continue. And the wind is relentless all the way to the ground. We'll take power out and flare, and look at the surface. It is not even. Alright, let's get on the brakes. Oh, look at that view. That's gorgeous out that way. I mean, you can't see that going the direction we came in. Wow. Blows my mind just to see, you know, how we have such beautiful places on a planet like this. God is an artist. Coming down 30 knots, and yeah, that gravel's a little rough. We probably should go a little slower. What a gorgeous view, though. I mean, it's just spectacular. You can't even see the north half of the lake. The south half right there is absolutely spectacular. I guess we can get parked, or we can really just turn around right here. We're just gonna take a quick break to set up our FLC and GPS and a couple other things. I'm gonna get up and take a quick break. So we'll point right here, and real quick set the parking brake, bring flaps up, leave our landing light on. We'll leave everything on as is, except the fuel pump. Close that back down. I will run the fuel transfer. I'm going to get up, take a quick break, and we'll be back momentarily with the second half of our flight to Anaktuvuk Pass.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get away, to see you again.
All right, we're back. Fuel tank transfer is going to take a couple minutes. So what we'll do is load up our flight plan to Anaktuvuk Pass. Let's go ahead and put flaps to half. Or no, actually, I'm going to leave them up because of the wind right now. I won't be certain to put them. Alright, direct. P, A, and then this goes to K. Activate. 83 miles about. Altimeter is set. Release the park and brake. Let's go ahead and taxi. And we are actually going to take off to the south because how can you pass up that view? Just a short taxi, then we'll get out, we'll drop flaps, and we'll just do a couple things real quick, and we'll be set to depart over to Anaktuvuk Pass. And need a little more power to taxi, I guess, or we can actually probably. We may have enough. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. This will give us a slightly better option to climb over our terrain. Coming out to the south is where the river runs. Let's get out on the center. And come forward just a little bit, make sure we're aligned, which now we are. Couple things real quick. Parking brake set. I think we'll turn the fuel transfer off for now. We could turn it back on once we get... It's only 57 degrees, 14, 8,500. We may get into some clouds going over to Anaktuvuk Pass because the weather is not looking hot there. It's actually cloudy. So we will go ahead and turn the pitot heat on. Fuel pump's on. Make sure flaps set to 50. That could cause us to crash if we left the flaps down, especially with the shorter distances we have right now. Yeah, so we don't want to screw that up. Let's set our altitude. We're going to go at 8,500 again. And let's just make sure our FLC is set to 88. Good. And I think we are ready to rock, and just look at that. Oh, man. Alright, full power, and we're actually going to let the engine spool up all the way, and then we will go ahead and release the brakes. That'll give us a shorter takeoff roll because we have full power as soon as we let go of the brakes. And here we go, we're rolling. Our instruments are looking good. Airspeed is alive. We're looking for 69. We don't think we're going to get it. We'll reject the takeoff. This is going to be kind of close. We're airborne. We're airborne actually a little bit before our rotate. And... yeah, we were barely over those trees. Yikes. And we're actually going to turn and follow the river valley here. Climb! Lower the nose a little bit. We are good. Flaps up. There's 2,700, we're good. Let's engage the autopilot. We'll just fly out on heading that we're at right now. So, yeah, it just looked like the plane wasn't accelerating as fast off of here as we wanted to. What we could have done is done more of a soft field takeoff instead of short. And we would have been airborne, and then we could climb out at VX speed, which is, I believe, just over 70. To clear the trees with a little bit more altitude. But, yeah, we're fine. Just kind of focus on getting on course before we brought the flaps up. Because if we lowered the flaps and lowered into a turn, we would actually probably descend. And that could obviously have some serious repercussions. And we still need to climb out on this heading before we can turn to pick up our track, given the amount of red and yellow in the area here. Just take a look back at that, though. That's pretty. Tops of the mountains are pretty barren, but still at this latitude, there's still enough trees at lower elevations that the forests get pretty heavy. We'll see, that's going to be different when we head Over. So we'll go ahead and turn the landing light off. Fuel pumps can come off at this time. Pitot heat needs to stay on. Flaps are up. Set climb power at 95%. Good there. Alright, altitude's looking pretty good. We can go ahead and set a heading this way. And we are at close to our best rate of climb. In fact, what we can do is maintain our cruise climb for now. And if for any reason we think that we may have trouble clearing the terrain safely, what we'll do is just slow our airspeed back down to about 72 for best angle of climb to gain the most altitude in the shortest linear distance. And then we can go to 80 for best rate of climb for time to clear over that terrain. But I think we're gonna be okay. All the red is pretty much going away. And even the yellow's thinning out right now. We do have, I see it. This one peak right here is currently remaining red. It's this right here. And that there. I'm not sure what that one is. Oh, yeah, no, it's just some mountain. 6,800 feet. So the red's actually just about to go away. So on our way to Anaktuvuk Pass, it says, located in a valley, we know that. High terrain, all quadrants, we know that. Expect turbulence and wind. Recommend visual inspection prior to use. That would generally mean would be to overfly the airport, or at least fly it downwind, so you can make sure that the runway is clear and safe to land on. We're not going to do that in the simulator, but in the real world we absolutely would. I'm looking, I'm not sure if they have fuel. Yeah. Wow. I think they do, because they say the airport is attended continuously. Alright, we are at our cruising altitude of 8,500 feet, and we have flown through our course because I was looking at charts. Again, what did I say about resource management? And that's alright. Number one, it's a simulator. And number two, that kind of stuff, you know, you gain with experience. I mean, ultimately with the autopilot, we're well above any terrain. So, no really unsafe situation would result, but it's still something that you just need to pay attention to. Alright, we can pull back to 75% on the power, and it's showing probably 26-27 minutes en route. We will turn the fuel transfer back on. -4 Celsius here. Up at altitude. The weather's looking good until we get close to Anaktuvuk Pass. In fact, if we take a look at the weather here in just a second. Let's actually go ahead and pull that up. Not miss our GPS track this time. Too far away to pick it up right now. So I will look it up on this other site. Anaktuvuk Pass. Overcast 2,300. And what kind of approach options? There's one. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it right now. I'm not confident that we're gonna make it in. We're not flying through any visible moisture. I think we can shut the pitot heat off. No, actually, no, I think we're okay without it right now. It probably is better just to leave it running, just in case we do get into some of this cloud cover up ahead. We can go ahead and switch this over to nav. Just make a quick turn to intercept the track, and then we'll turn into it. And you can see where the mountains are kind of starting to bald up here. I believe that's the north portion of the lake right there. Yeah. Unless it's one of these. showing about 23 minutes. Final approach fix at Guesty. And we cannot descend below 3,500 feet above the ground. So 5,600? Holy cow. Alright. Yeah, so we may not make it in. Depending on the cloud cover. Here's why. I'm gonna break this off and pull it up on the screen. What we are looking at right now is the only instrument approach. And if you cannot fly by visual means to get down to the airport because of cloud cover, like in this case, overcast, 2,300 feet above the ground, we can expect a bunch of clouds. So we may not see the airport. So the way that we would descend would be to follow this RNAV GPS approach. The problem is, if we look right here, this is the lowest we can go. 5,620 feet on our altimeter, 3,500 feet basically above the ground. The clouds at 2,300 above the ground, we may not be able to get low enough to see. So that's part of the problem. So we can fly and hope. But there's no guarantee. That's gonna be really crummy if we can't make it. If for whatever reason we can't, there's Galbraith Lake, or we would have to basically choose to go to Coldfoot, like, now. Because we're passing over the creek that will lead us to Coldfoot. And here comes the clouds. So in the real world, this is where we would make a judgment call to probably divert. Since we're in a simulator, we'll continue and we'll see if we can pick up the airport. From where we are right now, Coldfoot, alright, we can go ahead and shut this off. I think we've transferred enough fuel. We would be looking at nearest 32 miles away. And they have an RNAV approach in case the weather's bad there, but it actually is looking fairly decent. So it's kind of on the north slope of the Brooks Range, where it's looking kind of rough. So 48 miles away. Yeah, so if we chose to go to Coldfoot right now, it'd be a little closer. And a little shorter flight overall, but if we flew from Chandalar Lake directly to Coldfoot, this flight would be less than half of what it's going to be. So we're just going to go on to Anaktuvuk Pass. Hopefully we won't have too much to worry about. A couple of short little rain showers. That's the way to Coldfoot right down there. This is one of the toughest areas to fly in, where you have all this mountainous terrain and there's just nothing really around. I mean, at least further south, there's not much around, but the terrain is either not difficult, or there are places, like where we were, we passed over so many different airports that we could go to if we had a situation where we needed to land. RNAV, so I'm going to pull the procedures up. And we're going to go RNAV, and the initial fix is Akumi. And we'll just go ahead and set the minimums. $3,514 above that. Ah! So much scrolling just to get that set up. Holy cow. Alright. And if we look over here. Well, the approach is loaded. And this is, we would actually need to be at 9,000. Let me just find where this fix would be. Yeah, so that's actually going way out there to find the, that's a pain. I really don't want to have to fly this approach. I hope he won't need it. Maybe we'll have a little better luck with the weather. We'll find out sooner or later, because only 13 minutes remaining. Altimeter set. About 100-foot change in pressure right there. That's not really a good sign. It's mostly sunny over most of the range, but you get to the north, it's just clouded over. Good ground speed again, 151 on the ground. We're doing pretty well today. That there. Oh, there's the Kumi all the way over there. Guessed he's the final approach fix. I'm glad I can see it on that map. So we would have to go all the way out here. Circle around. Or just turn and get, you know, set on a way to come in to here and then fly to there. And that's if the weather isn't good enough. We'll have to try that. And I don't really feel like doing that, but if we have to, we have to. If we don't have to, I'm going to be a lot happier. And I'm just checking some altitudes on the maps. 67, 74 in that box. Yeah, so actually staying at 8,500 would be okay for now. Now we're coming up into some clouds. Let's see though. We might be able to get away with this. Here's what I'm concerned about. You look, that's where like they start building up right over here, like just on the side of these mountains. That is super pretty though. And I don't know what we just flew over. I think it's the... It's not the Dietrich River. Oh, that's the North Fork of the Koyukuk River. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. We just flew over the part of the Koyukuk River. And that's actually a reference point for when we're coming into Anaktuvuk Pass. If you're talking to air traffic controllers, you can reference that point and they'll know right where you are. Even if they don't have you on radar, they'll know where to look. Alright, so as it stands right now in our current box, we cannot go below 7,100 feet until we're past Tall Mountain. So let's go ahead and begin a descent. 7,100. And we will leave the FLC and we'll just pull back on the power a little bit. Kind of a gradual controlled descent. Let's just see what the weather does. We're only about 15, I don't know, 17. I was close. I was gonna guess about 15 miles from the airport. Another altimeter set. And good news is that the weather is starting to clear up just a tiny bit. That layer of clouds is starting to break up. That's really good news, because now we may not even need to do this approach. Like, that's really good news. We may be able to pick up the airport from a distance here. And tell you what we can do is actually turn and follow this course, follow the Anaktuvuk River. That may be the safer thing to do. The wind, 0-60 at 18, gusting to 23, which kinda sucks. But we'll actually, no, tell you what, that's what we're gonna do. And here's why. We'll have a little better time getting around terrain. We'll be able to overfly the airfield. And we'll set up to fly. We can actually get much lower this way. Stay at 7,100 for now. $13 miles away. We should be on the ground in about 8 minutes, I would say. I wasn't sure we were going to be able to get into here. Look at that. It's clearing up nicely. Actually, really good news. Now, we just had that weather update come in, and it is great. A little bit of a tailwind, so we're going to set the heading just a couple more degrees this way. We can continue down. Actually go down about 4,000. I kind of wish it was totally clear, because, I mean, you'd have to believe this. You have to see this scenery to believe it. Pictures of this place are absolutely gorgeous. And this kind of one place I probably would not go to, flight-wise, if I had the opportunity. Because it's just so remote and kind of dangerous if you're not a professional flying in a place like this. That said, I would fly with somebody else who knew what they were doing. It's a really cool community, from what I've heard. Yeah, here we keep coming down on the altitude. Another altimeter check set. Let's run through some checklists here real quick. Let's go ahead and turn fuel pump on, landing light on, and pitot heat will leave on. It's just above freezing. Actually seems like there's a little bit of a temperature inversion because it's yeah, only 1 degree plus 1 Celsius on the ground. It's at 34 Fahrenheit. Barely any trees over here left. Kind of only right around the... Ooh, that's pretty. It looks like there's just the sheer rock faces of these mountains. And we're just gonna fly this way. We can continue down. Airport elevation's 2,100, so we'll go... Let's say over flat terrain when we fly over the airport. We want to be at about 3,100. And we're starting to get below the clouds, although we're actually kind of in them, on the edge of getting into them here. We can continue down. Let's go just another 500 feet. FLC back on, and we'll pull a little bit of power back. And yeah, I really wish it was clear over here, because I just look at what you're gonna get to see here in a second. Set our heading to kind of follow the mountain pass. So yeah, now the winds have picked up. It was almost calm through that kind of first pass, like down here. Now it's picked up. Some scattered clouds actually look like they're lowering over here. There's the tundra. There's really not much beyond these mountains that you see right here. It kind of just flattens out into the North Slope tundra. But take a look there. And that's something. And it looks even better when it's clear out. Wow. Just wow. Alright, let's continue down to 3,100 now. We're low on power. We don't really want to go much faster than this, though. We can pick up the speed a little bit. So we're on a downwind leg. FLC. Let's just set this to 90 knots. Pull back on the power. Get descended a little more. And let's disengage the... Yeah, let's disengage the autopilot. We're good here. And yeah, you are getting a little bit of sunlight, but the clouds just barely starting to clear up. Where's the runway? Just a quick visual turn. It's up ahead. Okay. Let's just keep coming down. In fact, we can actually go half flaps. We won't go full flaps till we're on final. here's where I'm gonna cheat.
Step by step, the clock is ticking, but there's no time for me. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Thailand.
Now I can see the airport. And there's the town of Anaktuvuk Pass. And we need to turn back this way. And let's uncheat and get back in the left seat. Let's pull some power out. We're idle on the power. And we're getting pushed quite a bit by the wind. In real world, there are not trees on this mountain. So that's a little bit of an error. We can go ahead and turn base. Add a little power in at this point. We have a nice gradual descent, 400 or 500 feet per minute. And it is going to be a bit of a tough, or not tough, but tight turn. Look at that. That's just gorgeous. Tundra, just totally different with the mountains rising up and everything. And then you have, yeah, look at that. You do have this rock face over here. So we're a little bit low on the approach right now, but we're okay. We can go full flaps. Power in. We're a little bit low, but we're okay. Final checklist. Altimeter is set. Flaps. Park and brake is released. Fuel pump, will leave it on. Landing light is on. We are good. Airport elevation's 2,106. 400 feet, we're a little bit low. Just gonna pull up over here so we can see this a little better. 400 feet to go. Gust of wind. We're doing quite well on the speed. Tiny bit low, only one on the one white. Nope, there we go. We're on approach. 2 white, 2 red. If you have all red, that's a bit of a problem. One white, 3 red is not the worst. 200 above, we're really about 140 above now. But we're stable. We'll continue. We're actually looking quite good right now. We can take the power out and just gradually float. Raise the nose. Float just a little bit there. Take the power out. Just carrying a little extra power and it's kind of helping me hover. We're on the ground. And let's just roll. Flaps are up. And I think this is where we want to turn. And there's a car on the runway. What? Look at that. Maybe it's a fuel truck. Maybe it's a sweeper truck. Man. Yeah, so maybe there are trees on that mountain. I don't think so, actually, given how high up that goes. But, could be wrong. Just look at this scenery, though. Absolutely beautiful. Spectacular. We can turn the fuel pump off. We're about ready to shut down. Park right over here at the fuel. Alright. 41% fuel, so we went through 35% worth. Yeah. Okay. Not bad. We actually, if we went back to Fort Yukon, we could probably... No, you know what, we'd be going against the wind, so probably not. Alright. Park and brake is set. Let's just run through a couple checklists here. Pitot heat can come off. Fuel pump is already off. Alternate air closed. Taxi light, we're on the ramp, we can shut the landing light off. Transponder will go to standby mode. Power's been below 10% for the last minute. ELT is armed. Total time, let's take a look at the engine time here. 12.5, so that was about an hour 45 minutes. The plane's been running. Checks out about right. Where was I? Avionics master off. Taxi lights are off. Engine master off. Hour 32 minutes. And it didn't give me any landings. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. It didn't register my landing. Kinda weird. Alright. Engine's cutting off. Can put the cover back on. Strobe lights off, nav lights off, flood, instruments, and cockpit lights are all off. And we can turn the electric master. There we are, beautiful Anaktuvuk Pass, Alaska. I don't know where we're gonna go next. Out of here. I mean, we could always just start from a different airport, I suppose. But it's kind of been a really neat run. The entire trek that we've mapped out started all the way down in Anchorage, flew past Denali into Healy, then Fairbanks, couple hops over on the way to the Yukon River, stopped at Fort Yukon, quick stop at Chandalar Lake, and now we're in Anaktuvuk Pass. And we made it in a good time because the weather changed again. And it's getting worse. So I think we made it in at just the right time. On the next one, I think we're going to go back to the tropics. Maybe something in Hawaii, something in French Polynesia, something in the Cook Islands. Maybe New Zealand. I don't know. New Zealand's not really the tropics, but that'd be a new place. Really cool. Great scenery around there. F-22 Raptor, welcome. Start here and fly to Atlanta. I don't think I'd have enough fuel to make it. Or if it did like a kind of a hopping. It could do that. That would probably take you down through the Yukon and then in through like Alberta. A ton of other of the western. In that aircraft? Oh, that'd just be too much fun to long hop all that way. I mean, you could probably do it in a jet. That'd be a heck of a flight though. Yeah, we'll figure out where to go next. But here I'm ready to call it an evening. 2 hours on stream and 2 hours in the flight sim. And I have to get up and eat dinner. So I'm going to call it here though. Thank you all for joining me. Appreciate having you all. And thanks for flying. Hope to catch you on the next one. And until then, take care and stay safe, and we'll see ya.